that my brother had been taking credit for every single payment I'd made, and that my parents had taken out a second mortgage on the house I'd actually paid off, borrowing $180,000 against equity I'd built with my money. My name is Jordan Hayes, and this is the story of how I financially supported my entire family for 6 years while they told everyone I was the selfish child who never contributed, only to discover they'd been stealing from me the entire time. I'm the oldest of 3 kids in the Hayes family. My brother Connor is 2 years younger, works in sales, and has always been what my parents call charismatic. My sister Alexis is 5 years younger, recently graduated college and still lives at home. I'm the one who left. When I was 21, I graduated from Georgia Tech with a degree in software engineering and immediately got a job offer from a tech company in Atlanta making $78,000 a year. It was 2017 and that felt like all the money in the world. My parents were proud, for about 10 minutes. Then my father started talking about how I should help the family now that you're making good money. Dad, I'm barely getting started. I need to pay off student loans and build savings. Family helps family, Jordan. We raised you. We paid for your college. You took out Parent Plus loans that I'm helping you pay back, I corrected. I'm sending you $300 a month for those. $300? My mother's voice was sharp. Your brother sends us money whenever we need it. Connor was making maybe $35,000 as a junior sales associate at the time. If he was sending them money, it wasn't much or often. But Connor had always been the favorite. The social one, the funny one, the one who called home 3 times a week. I called once a week and apparently that wasn't enough. The real demands started when I was 23. I'd gotten a promotion and was making $112,000. I'd been smart with my money, paid off my student loans, built a 6-month emergency fund, started investing in my 401k at the maximum contribution. My parents' house in Marietta was old, needed constant repairs, and they were struggling with the mortgage. Dad had been laid off from his manufacturing job 2 years earlier and was working retail management, making half what he used to. Mom was a part-time administrative assistant. Connor was still in sales, doing okay but not great. Alexis was in college. One Sunday dinner, my father laid out the situation. Jordan, we might lose the house. The mortgage is $2,800 a month and we can't keep up. We're 3 months behind. Have you talked to the bank about a modification? I asked. They won't work with us. We need help. You're making 6 figures now. You could cover this easily. Dad, $2,800 a month is $33,600 a year. That's a third of my salary after taxes. And this house is your family home. Where do you think we'll go if we lose it? You want your mother and sister on the street. The guilt was crushing. I looked at my mother's face, she was crying. Alexis looked terrified. Connor sat there silent, not offering anything. I can help temporarily, I said. While you get back on your feet. Maybe 6 months while Dad finds a better job. 6 months would be amazing, Mom said, squeezing my hand. You're saving us, Jordan. That was 6 years ago. If you've ever been the family ATM, hit that like button and subscribe right now. You're not going to want to miss what happened next. The temporary help became permanent so gradually I didn't notice until I was trapped. I started paying their $2,800 mortgage directly to the bank every month. Then Dad asked if I could cover utilities too, another $400 a month. Then there was the car insurance. Then the property taxes. Then Mom's dental work. Then Connor's security deposit when he moved into a new apartment. Every request came with the same line, we'll pay you back when things get better. Things never got better. My father found another job but it paid even less. My mother's hours got cut. Connor changed sales jobs 3 times, always claiming the new one would be the breakthrough. Alexis graduated but moved back home instead of finding her own place. By the time I was 25, I was sending my parents $3,600 per month on average. That was $43,200 per year. Over 2 years I'd sent them $86,400. But I was also thriving at work. At 26 I was promoted to senior software engineer. At 27 I made lead engineer. At 28 I became engineering manager with a team of 12 developers. My salary grew to $185,000 base plus bonuses. I was also doing something my family knew nothing about. I was building a software product on the side. A project management tool specifically designed for construction companies, something I'd identified as a gap in the market. I worked nights and weekends, taught myself new frameworks, hired a designer with my own money. At 29 I launched it. Within 8 months I had 43 paying corporate clients. Within 18 months, the company was doing $2.8 million in annual recurring revenue. I hired a small team, incorporated properly, and started taking a salary from my own company on top of my day job. By 30, I was making $185,000 from my engineering job and another $145,000 from my software company. Total income, $330,000 per year. My family thought I was still just a regular software engineer making maybe $120,000. I never corrected them. Why? Because every time my income came up, it was followed by requests for money. Jordan, since you got that promotion, could you cover Connor's car payment for a few months? He's between jobs. Jordan, we need a new roof. It's $18,000. Can you handle that? Jordan, Alexis needs a laptop for job applications. Just $1,200. I said yes every time. Because they were my family and family helps family, right? Over 6 years I paid $201,600 directly to their mortgage. 72 months times $2,800. $28,800 in utilities. 72 months times $400. $38,000 for mom's emergency surgery when she needed her gallbladder removed. $18,000 for the roof. $7,200 for property taxes, 3 years. $12,400 for various car repairs, insurance and Connor's security deposits. $8,500 for Alexis's laptop, interview clothes and job search expenses. Total $314,500 over 6 years. I tracked every penny in a spreadsheet I kept meticulously updated. Every bank transfer, every Venmo payment, every wire. I told myself it was just good record keeping. Really, some part of me knew I'd need proof eventually. What I didn't know was that my parents were telling everyone, extended family, neighbors, their friends, that Connor was the one helping them. That Connor had stepped up and was taking care of the family, while I'd moved to Atlanta and forgot where I came from. I found this out at my cousin Rachel's wedding 2 years ago. An uncle pulled me aside. Jordan, I know you and Connor have had your differences, but I have to say, I'm impressed with how he's supported your parents. Your dad told me Connor's been covering the mortgage for years. That's real character. I stared at him. Connor's been covering the mortgage? That's what Robert said. Said Connor sends them nearly $3,000 a month. Meanwhile, you're off making tech money and not helping out. He said it with a tone that made it clear he thought less of me. I smiled tightly. Interesting. I hadn't heard that. When I confronted my father about it later, he was defensive. What does it matter who gets credit? The important thing is the house is being taken care of. It matters because I'm the one actually paying for it, Dad. I've sent you over $200,000 at this point. And Connor helps too. He sends money when he can. He's doing his best with less income. That's more impressive than you just writing checks because you have money to spare. That's when I realized, they didn't see what I was doing as sacrifice. They saw it as obligation. I made good money, so helping them wasn't generous, it was expected. Connor made less money, so any help from him was heroic. I stopped arguing. But I didn't stop paying. Because every time I thought about cutting them off, my mother would call crying about another crisis, another expense, another disaster waiting to happen. This year's Christmas dinner was at my parents' house, the house I'd been paying for. I drove up from Atlanta on Christmas Eve, bringing expensive gifts for everyone and a $1,200 bourbon for my father that he'd mentioned wanting. The house looked good. They'd renovated the kitchen 6 months earlier. New cabinets, granite countertops, stainless appliances. My father had mentioned it cost $47,000. I'd assumed they'd taken out a loan or used credit cards. Connor was already there with his fiancée Hannah. Alexis was setting the table. Everything seemed normal until dinner started. My father stood to give a toast. I want to thank everyone for being here. This has been a hard year, but we made it through. Connor, thank you for your continued support. You've kept this family afloat. Connor nodded humbly. Just doing what family does, Dad. I set down my wine glass carefully. Connor's been keeping the family afloat? He's been very generous, my mother said quickly. We know you help too, Jordan, but Connor. Connor what? What exactly has Connor been doing? My father's face hardened. He sends us money every month. He helped with your mother's surgery. He contributed to the kitchen renovation. He's present in our lives not just financially but emotionally. Something in me snapped. Maybe it was 6 years of resentment. Maybe it was the casual erasure of $314,500 worth of support. Maybe it was watching Connor sit there accepting credit for my sacrifice. You never helped this family, my father suddenly shouted, his face red. We've paid this house off ourselves. You send a little money here and there and act like you're some kind of hero, but we've done the real work. Connor's done the real work. The room went silent. Alexis looked at her plate. Hannah looked uncomfortable. Connor looked smug. I opened my laptop bag and pulled out my computer. You've paid the house off yourselves? That's right, Dad said. We made the last payment in October. Fully paid off after 28 years. I opened my laptop. Pulled up my bank records. 6 years of statements, all organized and categorized. Dad, I've made 72 payments of $2,800 directly to your mortgage company. That's $201,600. I've sent another $28,800 for utilities. Here's the $38,000 wire transfer for Mom's gallbladder surgery, March 2021. Here's $18,000 for the roof, June 2020. Should I continue? I turned the laptop around so everyone could see. 6 years of monthly transfers, all clearly labeled: Hayes mortgage payment, Hayes utilities, Hayes property tax. My mother's face went white. My father's mouth opened and closed without sound. You paid off this house with my money, I said quietly. I've sent you $314,500 over 6 years. And you just told the entire family that Connor did it and I never help. Jordan, let me explain. My father started. What's there to explain? I have 6 years of bank statements. Connor, how much have you actually sent them? Connor's face was red. I help when I can. I sent them $500 last month for $500 one time versus my $3,000 per month. Got it. And somehow you're the hero. That's when my phone rang. I'd been expecting this call. I answered on speaker. Ms. Hayes? This is Patricia Kim from Detailed Financial Forensics. I have the report you requested ready for review. My father's eyes widened. What report? I hired a forensic accountant 2 weeks ago, I said calmly. I wanted a full audit of what I've sent you versus what you've told me you've used it for. Ms. Kim, can you give my family the summary? Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from tonight. Patricia Kim's voice was professional and devastating. Of course, Ms. Hayes. I've completed a comprehensive analysis of 6 years of financial transactions between Jordan Hayes and Robert and Patricia Hayes. Here are the findings. She paused and I could hear papers rustling. Total funds transferred from Jordan Hayes to her parents: $314,500 over 72 months. Primary expenses claimed: mortgage payments, utilities, medical expenses, home repairs, and various family emergencies. My father tried to interrupt. We never said. Let her finish, Dad, I said coldly. Patricia continued. However, cross-referencing with public records and bank statements provided by the elder Hayes family revealed several discrepancies. First, the mortgage. Ms. Hayes paid a total of $201,600 toward the mortgage over 6 years. The mortgage should have been paid off in full by month 68 based on the remaining balance when payments began. Okay, so we paid it off early, my mother said weakly. What's wrong with that? Mrs. Hayes, the mortgage was paid off in month 68 as projected. However, in month 69, 14 months ago, you and Mr. Hayes took out a second mortgage on the property for $180,000. These funds were not disclosed to Ms. Jordan Hayes, who continued making what she believed were mortgage payments for another 14 months, an additional $39,200 that went into your general account, not toward any mortgage. The room went dead silent. You took out a second mortgage? I said slowly. After I paid off the first one? My father's voice was defensive. We needed the money for improvements. The kitchen, new flooring, Alexis's student loans. You told me Alexis got scholarships that covered her loans. Some of them, Alexis mumbled. Not all. Patricia Kim continued. Additionally, the $38,000 provided for Mrs. Hayes's gallbladder surgery was significantly more than the actual medical expense. Hospital records show the total out-of-pocket cost after insurance was $8,400. The remaining $29,600 was deposited into the Hayes family's savings account. My mother started crying. We needed a cushion, Jordan. We couldn't survive on just. You lied to me. You said it cost $38,000 for the surgery. We didn't lie. We needed the extra for recovery time and the kitchen renovation, Patricia said. The $47,000 renovation was funded by the second mortgage proceeds, not by the Hayes family's savings as implied to Ms. Jordan Hayes. Moreover, I found evidence that Connor Hayes received a total of $31,000 in direct payments from his parents over the past 2 years, payments that likely came from funds Jordan provided. I looked at Connor. They've been giving you my money? I didn't know where it came from. Connor protested. They said they had extra savings and wanted to help me with my business startup. Your business startup? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You mean the one that failed after 6 months? My father stood up. Jordan, you're making this sound worse than it is. We borrowed some money against the house for improvements. We helped Connor when he needed it. We set aside some savings for emergencies. You have plenty of money, you didn't need that cash back. It's not about needing it back, Dad. It's about the lying. It's about taking credit away from me and giving it to Connor. It's about telling everyone I'm the selfish child who doesn't help when I've been supporting this entire family for 6 years. We never said you were selfish, my mother cried. Uncle Mike told me 2 years ago that you said Connor was covering the mortgage. Your neighbor Mrs. Patterson told me last year that you brag about Connor taking care of you. Alexis, didn't Aunt Linda tell you I was too busy with my career to care about family? Alexis nodded miserably. She said you were successful but cold. That Connor had the better heart. Patricia Kim spoke again. There's one more significant finding. The Hayes family filed taxes claiming financial hardship and received earned income tax credit refunds totaling $17,800 over 3 years. However, if Jordan's support had been properly documented as income or gifts, the family would not have qualified for these credits. This could constitute tax fraud. My father's face went from red to gray. We didn't commit fraud. You failed to report substantial financial support as income, Patricia said. I'm obligated to inform you that the IRS may have questions if this comes to their attention. Are you threatening us? My father demanded, looking at me. I'm not threatening anyone. I'm simply getting the truth on record. Patricia, can you send the full report to everyone's email? Already sent to the addresses you provided, Ms. Hayes. I closed my laptop. Here's what's going to happen. I'm done paying for anything. No more mortgage. Second mortgage payments. No more utilities. No more emergencies. You're financially on your own from this moment forward. Jordan, please. My mother started. I'm not finished. Second, you're going to tell everyone. Uncle Mike, Aunt Linda, Mrs. Patterson, everyone you've been lying to, the truth. That I paid off your house. That I've supported you for 6 years. That Connor has sent you maybe $5,000 total while taking credit for hundreds of thousands I provided. That's humiliating, Connor protested. Good. You humiliated me for 2 years by taking credit for my money. Now you get to feel what that's like. My father slammed his hand on the table. You can't dictate what we tell people. I can't, but I can show them. I'm going to send the forensic accounting report to the whole family. They can draw their own conclusions. That's private information, my mother shrieked. It's my information about my money that I sent. I can share it with whoever I want. Hannah, Connor's fiancée, spoke for the first time. Connor, is this true? You've been taking credit for money your sister sent. I didn't know she was sending so much. I thought we were both helping. But you knew you weren't sending $3,000 a month. You knew you weren't paying their mortgage. Connor had no answer for that. I stood up. One more thing. The $180,000 second mortgage you took out? That equity you borrowed against? I built that. My payments for 6 years created that equity. You took out a loan against value I created and didn't tell me. That's theft. We'll pay you back, my father said desperately. We'll work out a payment plan. With what money, Dad? You couldn't afford the first mortgage. How are you going to afford the second one without my help? The reality hit him. Without my $2,800 monthly payments, they couldn't cover their mortgage, utilities, and living expenses. The second mortgage payment was probably another $1,200 per month at least. We'll figure it out, he said, but his voice had lost all conviction. I'm sure Connor will help, I said. Since he's the generous one. The one with the real character. The one who's kept this family afloat. I started packing my gifts back into my bag. I'd brought them, I was taking them back. Jordan, you're really going to abandon your family on Christmas? My mother asked. I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm just declining to be lied to, stolen from, and erased anymore. You taught me that family helps family. You just forgot that respect and honesty are part of that deal. Hit that subscribe button if you've ever had to set boundaries with toxic family, because what happened next destroyed everything they'd built on my money. I drove back to Atlanta that night. Christmas dinner uneaten, gifts reclaimed, and 6 years of financial support terminated. The fallout started immediately. By December 26th, I'd sent the forensic accounting report to my extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, anyone my parents had lied to about me. I included a simple cover note. For years, you've been told that I don't support my family and that Connor does. Here's the truth, documented by a professional forensic accountant. I'm sharing this not to embarrass anyone but to correct the record. The responses were immediate and overwhelming. Uncle Mike called, Jordan, I owe you a massive apology. Your father told us Connor was covering everything. I had no idea you'd been supporting them like this. Aunt Linda sent a long email. I feel terrible. I repeated what your parents told me, that you were too focused on your career to help. I'm so sorry I believed them without asking you directly. Cousin Rachel was furious. Your parents literally stood in my kitchen last year and talked about how Connor sacrificed his own financial stability to keep them housed. They were lying the whole time? What the hell? My parents' social circle imploded. Mrs. Patterson, their neighbor who'd always praised Connor's generosity, apparently confronted my mother at the grocery store. You told me Jordan abandoned you. You let me badmouth that girl at book club. I feel like an idiot. Connor's life fell apart faster. Hannah broke off their engagement 3 days after Christmas. I can't marry someone who'd steal credit for his sister's generosity, she told him in a text that Connor's friend later shared with me. It shows a fundamental character problem. What else would you lie about? Connor's social media, which had been full of humble posts about helping family and stepping up when it matters, became a liability. People started commenting, "Is this the family you were helping with your sister's money? And how much of this did you actually do versus take credit for?" He deleted all his social media accounts within a week. My parents faced their own reckoning. The second mortgage payment was $1,350 per month. Combined with utilities, property taxes, food, and regular expenses, they needed about $4,200 per month minimum to survive. My father's retail management job paid $3,100 per month. My mother's part-time administrative work paid $1,800 per month. Together, they brought in $4,900 per month, leaving them only $700 for food, gas, medical expenses, and any emergencies. They couldn't do it. Within 6 weeks, they'd missed their second mortgage payment. By March, they'd missed 3 payments. The bank sent default notices. My mother called me 17 times. I didn't answer. Finally, she sent an email. Jordan, please. We made mistakes. We're sorry. We can't lose this house. You've invested so much in it already. Don't let that investment disappear because you're angry at us. We'll do anything. We'll tell everyone the truth. We'll have Connor apologize publicly. Just please don't let us lose our home. I responded with one line, "You already lost it. You just don't know it yet." The house went into foreclosure proceedings in May. My parents hired a lawyer. They couldn't afford to fight it. The lawyer told them the truth. They'd taken out a loan they couldn't repay. The bank had every right to foreclose. Connor tried to help, actually tried this time. He sent them $2,000 from his own savings. It wasn't nearly enough. He couldn't sustain even that level of support. Alexis got a job and started contributing $600 a month for rent and groceries. It helped but didn't solve the problem. In July, my father called me from a number I didn't recognize. I answered by mistake. "Jordan, please. I'm begging you. We'll lose the house in 45 days if we don't catch up the payments. That's $6,700. I know I don't deserve to ask, but I'm asking anyway. Please. Dad, I sent you $314,500 over 6 years. You told everyone Connor did it. You borrowed $180,000 against equity I built and didn't tell me. You lied to the IRS about financial hardship while I was sending you enough money to disqualify you from tax credits. You stole from me for years. And now you want more. I know I was wrong. But this is your mother's home. This is where you grew up. This is a house you treated as an ATM just like you treated me. You want to know what I learned from watching this happen? That sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is let them experience the natural consequences of their choices. Jordan, please. I hung up. The house sold at auction in September for $340,000. After paying off both mortgages and fees, my parents netted about $18,000. They used it to move into a 2-bedroom apartment in a less expensive part of Marietta. The apartment is small. My mother works full-time now at a different company that actually offers benefits. My father got a second job doing weekend security. Alexis moved out and got roommates. Connor lives 45 minutes away and visits maybe once a month. They're surviving. But they're not comfortable. And they're not getting any help from me. 18 months after that Christmas dinner, I'm sitting in my Atlanta condo. A beautiful 3-bedroom place I bought last year for $680,000, paid in cash, when I get an unexpected call. It's Connor. Jordan, I need to talk to you. Can we meet for coffee? Almost say no. Then curiosity wins. Fine. Tomorrow 2 p.m. the place near Georgia Tech. He's already there when I arrive, looking older than his 31 years should allow. The confidence is gone. He looks tired and smaller somehow. Thanks for meeting me, he starts. What do you want, Connor? I want to apologize. Really apologize, not the bullshit half apology I gave at Christmas. I took credit for what you did. I let Mom and Dad erase your contributions. I sat there accepting praise for money I didn't send. That was wrong. There's no excuse. I sip my coffee and wait. I was jealous, he continues. You were always smarter, more successful, more disciplined. I got the social stuff. The friends, the popularity, the charm. But you got the actual success. And instead of working harder, I just let them believe I was doing more than I was. It was easier than admitting I was the failure they were scared you'd be. You weren't a failure, Connor. You just weren't willing to do the work. I know that now. Losing Hannah was a wake-up call. She said I had a character problem and she was right. I've been doing therapy for a year. Actually examining why I did what I did. Good for you. Seriously. I mean it. Growth is growth. I can't fix what I broke. But I wanted you to know I see it now. What you did for them, for us, was incredible. You supported an entire family for 6 years while building your own career. I sent maybe $5,000 total and acted like a martyr. You deserved better from all of us. Yes, I did. Are you ever going to forgive them? Mom and Dad? I consider the question carefully. I don't know. Maybe someday. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. I can forgive them for being weak and dishonest without letting them back into my life to do it again. That's fair. He stands to leave, then turns back. For what it's worth, and I know this might not mean much coming from me, I'm proud of you. What you built, who you became. You did it without shortcuts or credit stealing or any of the bullshit I pulled. That's real success. After he leaves, I think about that conversation for a long time. My software company hit $4.7 million in annual recurring revenue this quarter. I hired a CEO to run day-to-day operations so I can focus on product development and strategy. I'm on track to have a $12 million exit within 3 years if I want it. I bought a lake house in North Carolina last month. A beautiful 4-bedroom property where I can escape and work remotely. I have genuine friends, a fulfilling career, and complete financial security. Everything my family wanted but was never willing to build for themselves. Last week I got a letter from my mother. Not email, an actual handwritten letter on nice stationery. And I know I don't deserve a response, but I need you to know some things. You were right about all of it. We used you. We erased you. We let Connor take credit for your generosity because it was easier than admitting we'd raised one child who worked hard and one who coasted on charm. We wanted both of you to be successes, and when only you achieved it, we couldn't face what that said about our parenting. Losing the house was humiliating. But it was also clarifying. We've had to learn how to live within our means, how to actually work as a team, how to solve problems without expecting you to fix everything. We should have learned these lessons 30 years ago. I'm not asking for forgiveness or reconciliation. I'm just asking that you know, I see you now. I see what you sacrificed, what you built, who you became despite us rather than because of us. I'm proud of you. I should have said that every day for the past 6 years. I'm sorry I didn't. I'm sorry for all of it. I hope you're happy. You've earned happiness more than anyone I know. I read that letter 3 times. Then I put it in a box with other letters I've received over the past year. Apologies, explanations, requests to talk. I'm not ready to respond. Maybe I never will be. But I've kept the letters, which is something. My therapist says that healing doesn't require reconciliation. You can process hurt, set boundaries, and build a beautiful life without ever letting the people who hurt you back into it. Some relationships can't be salvaged, and that's okay. I've built a chosen family. Friends who celebrate my success without resentment, colleagues who respect my work without trying to diminish it, mentors who've invested in my growth without expecting repayment. That's the real story. Not the family that took advantage of my generosity, but the life I built despite their betrayal. If you've ever had to walk away to save yourself, tell me your story in the comments. What would you have done? Does any of this feel familiar? And if you've ever been the family ATM, expected to give everything and grateful for nothing, hit that like button because you're not alone. Paper beats promises every single time. I have 6 years of bank statements proving I kept mine. They have 6 years of lies proving they broke theirs. I'm the one who gets to decide what happens next. Not them. Not anymore. You're not alone. You never were.